Hey there, fight fans. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this episode of Combat Sports Talk. Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys.
Hey, what's happening in combat sports world? Oh my God, sweet baby Jesus in the manger with all the lambs. We got stuff to talk about.
We have stuff to talk about, and I know what you want to talk about. That is UFC 268 Usman versus Covington 2. That was last night. It is unbelievable that was just a night ago. There was fisticuffs a-flying in the Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York.
I mean, and it covered the whole community. There was anger beatings. There was fisticuffs upon the body. Every violent term you can think of, it probably happened in one form or the other at that event. And I mean, it was violent. And you guys, first of all, you and George doing a live stream, that was awesome last night. Okay, it made me laugh, it made me cry. It made me hungry because y'all were eating, and poor George.
Yeah,
I think he gained all his weight back. Right?
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. So if you missed it last night, definitely go to our YouTube page. I'll probably post it on Combat Sports Talk as well. We got an invitation from Title Boxing Club in Allen, Texas, to go and watch the fights with them, and they gave us access to their internet so that we could broadcast live from their facilities. And so, the people at Title Boxing in Allen were so nice, gave us, prime seating to be able to watch the fight. And while we were watching the fight, we were broadcasting live. Wasn't a pirate stream. Let me just get that clear. In case Uncle Dana or his people we weren't doing that. Basically, it was like you see now, but it was George Stallworth and I sitting there talking about the fights and things that were going on. But it was funny because George was like, "Hey man, you hungry?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm hungry." Well, I'll think about ordering a pizza. I'm like, "I'll get the pizza," but they wouldn't deliver it. So I have all these points for pizza, so I had a free pizza, but they won't deliver it unless you spend at least like $12. So I ended up buying way more pizza than we needed just so I could get the pizza delivered without having to go out. So during the first part of the show, while we're talking, I'm sitting there trying to order the pizza. So I got the pizza screen up, ordering the pizza, while he's like, "So what do you think about the fights tonight?" I'm like, "The fights are going to be really awesome. Pepperoni, sausage, da-da-da-da."
So, well, we're not going to shout out who you got the pizza from just because they didn't,
Yeah.
Freebie,
Well, but they, we eventually got the pizza and it was great. But we sat, ate pizza, watched the fights, talked on air. It was a great night, and I can't wait for us to discuss it because while you were there, chatting with us among some of the other people who were watching, we had over 2,000 views across all of the different platforms where we were broadcasting during the fight.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes. So. Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. 2,000 views while we broadcast. So, it really just goes to show that people, not everyone can afford to watch the pay-per-view. So there's a lot of people who really appreciated the fact that we were there to tell them what was going on, even if they couldn't see it. And then there were some people who were watching the fights along with us, and between rounds and between the fights, they were interacting with us. So it was a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that this is something that we can do, month in and month out with pay-per-views to give people an opportunity to enjoy the fights, even if we have to continue to, be limited in our interactions with each other as the pandemic continues.
Indeed. I really missed out on the party now. I'm kind of sad. I mean, I want to be in the mix too.
Well, there is another pay-per-view coming up. Hopefully you will be able to join us and we will
Yeah,
do it
yeah.
again. But let's get into it.
Indeed.
Let's get into it. Let's get into the official decision. This is the fights that happened on Saturday night, and there were two. We're going to talk about the big one for our show, but we'll touch on the other one as well. Here it is, the official decision. This is the official decision. This is where we talk about the fights from Saturday night. The first fight I want to talk about is the feature fight on the undercard, which was Andreas Michailidis versus Alex Pereira. Of course, Alex Pereira was making his UFC debut. This is the only guy that we know of that has knocked Israel Adesanya out. And he's beaten Israel Adesanya twice. He's undefeated versus Izzy. One knockout, one decision. This guy is entering the UFC, planning to make his walk up the mountain at 185 pounds. And this was his debut. He finished the fight by TKO at 18 seconds in round number 2. Did you get a chance to catch that fight?
Yeah, I blinked, and when I opened up my eyes, that's when it actually happened. Because I was sitting there, I was like, okay, he kind of got roughed up on the first round, and dude took his back, and he defended himself. But that second round, he literally walked out and said, "Hey man, you ready to end this fight?" Pow! He was on the ground, and I was like, "Well, that was it." Okay, we see how Izzy ended up on losing to this guy because he just literally just threw it out there and it met his face, and it was pretty bad.
Alex Pereira is a dynamic striker. I can't wait. I'm hoping that he is able to make that march up the ladder. He has a long way to go.
He does,
Unfortunately,
right?
he's not. He doesn't have Dana White privilege. Where a Mike Chandler, Michael Chandler can fight the number 5 guy in his first fight in the UFC, and then in the next fight for a title. But he was on the card because after he beat Dan Hooker and then fought for the title and lost, his plan was to go through Justin Gaethje, get a quality win, and then challenge the winner of Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. And guess what? It didn't work out so well for him. So Justin Gaethje won by unanimous decision. And you can look at these stats right here. Justin Gaethje, 113 total strikes, 116 significant. He outperformed Michael Chandler. I will tell you this, though. The first round was all Michael Chandler. You would think that that this fight was going to end quickly because Michael Chandler lands a big, heavy leg kick. And I thought, and I can't wait to see. Well, I don't want to see it, but I believe that Justin Gaethje, we're going to find out that he had some type of knee or ligament damage at the beginning of the first round. I felt like he was I felt like he was hurt, and his legs, his stance had kind of closed up a little bit. And Michael Chandler saw that and kept kicking that leg and kept kicking that leg, kept kicking that leg. And then he was, Michael Chandler loves to throw that big overhand right. And he was just headhunting. And I'm like, Justin. Yeah, I'm like, Justin's going to get finished in the first round. But he survived. And then I don't know if Michael Chandler gassed himself out. I don't know if Justin just started landing those uppercuts. But whatever happened, he began to do significant damage to Michael Chandler. And we found out that Iron Mike Chandler ain't all that iron.
Man. Okay, so I'm not gonna co-sign to that argument, dude. I'm not gonna co-sign to that statement. I can't.
All right. What you got?
For the simple fact, I saw a war. I saw two guys that got mad because one skipped the line and the other one was like, "I'm not taking this." And they went to the yard and they went for it. They started. I mean, it was just oh my god, there was violence in that fight. All right, it was just. I mean, we saw, and your analysis was correct. Okay, because after the fight, Justin Gaethje was limping. He limped all the way into the ambulance. All right, so there's that. Michael Chandler was headhunting because they were noting that he was doing overhand, looping, and it, he was trying to take him out. However, the punches that Gaethje was throwing and was rocking Iron Michael, yeah, while he was getting rocked, he wasn't going down. He wasn't backing down. Okay, I got respect for that. Okay,
It's
I got
true.
serious
It's true.
respect for that.
It's true. He didn't go down. He did not go down. But I mean, his face looked like it had, like somebody just put it in a meat grinder and just mashed his face in. And it's like, at that point, the third round was almost laughable as he's trying to throw spinning jump kicks and like Michael Chandler, he had nothing left. He was so exhausted. He was so tired. He had almost nothing on his punches at the third round. And he's just egging Justin Gaethje on, like, hit me again. And Justin's like, okay, bam, yeah.
And that's what we want out of those fights. That's
right.
The fight that we see, and from the highlight to CTE. I mean, that's what you should change his name to, is Justin CTE Gaethje. But
Chandler did get dropped in the second round, right? It was he started landing the uppercut, right? Boom. Justin Gaethje landed the uppercut. Pow, dropped Chandler. I think it was in the second round, and the tide changed. And so it's one of those things where it was absolutely a war. Absolutely, the low kicks were flying. Here's the question for you, John Keys, right here from Lapidolite. Is it fight of the year?
Unless if this was January, if this was December 31st, I believe 30th, 31st. If this was January 1st, yes, this is absolutely the fight of the year. Okay, because they gave us exactly what we wanted and what we asked for, and that was two fighters who went to the center of the ring and they didn't back down. They crashed into each other multiple times. They were not going to give. Isn't that what we want?
That is what we want.
Were we not entertained?
We were entertained.
Yes.
So here's the thing. I think it's fight of the year. I think it's fight. It's hard to see on the schedule another fight at this caliber. Like, not only was it a rock'em sock'em, just going back and forth pitched battle, hand to hand combat that's going on, but it was two of the most highly ranked fighters in the lightweight division. So it's not just like it's two guys on the prelims that's just throwing fisticuffs. This is a number one contender fight, and we got this type of action, this type of brutality, this type of anyone's fight. Anyone could finish this fight. That's why I think that there's probably not going to be another fight for the rest of the year, and we are in November.
There's
right. There's not a lot of fights left.
Yeah, unless there is some surprise, go for it fight that we're not aware of. Unless I don't see another fight outperforming this one. Not heck, this might be fight of the decade. Okay, and we're in what? This is the last.
We're in 2021, sir.
Yeah, so this could be fight of the decade. Okay,
it'll absolutely be a contender. It will represent 2021, I believe. Yes, so, but in the next fight of the night, you had Shane Burgos versus Billy Quarantillo. Oh, by the way, let me back up real quick. Let me back up just to this Justin Gaethje Michael Chandler fight. Do you happen to know what your pick was last week?
Yes, I chose Michael Chandler. I sure did. And guess what? Even though he lost, we all won. Okay, because we saw it all. So I don't think I deserve the button.
Well, let me just say like this. We all won, but some people won more than others. And because of that, Mr. Chandler, John Keys, you get the crow. The only person on the Combat Sports Talk crew to pick Justin Gaethje, right here, Ryan Smith. That
Ladies and
guy.
gentlemen, it's going to be a long night. Okay, it's going to be.
Oh, it's going to be a long night. Let me go ahead and I'm not going to even bury the lead. Let me tell you why it's going to be a long night. Because Ryan Smith was perfect. He was perfect. I got all my fight picks right. That's right. All of them right. All of them right.
Okay, all right. So let's get
You
this
know what?
over with.
Yeah, let's get this over with because picking fights.
That's what I do.
That's what I do. All right, all right. In the next fight of the night, Billy Quarantillo faced off against Shane Burgos. And everybody on the show was on Shane Burgos. We all picked Shane Burgos to win this fight. But I told you, I said Billy Quarantillo is not a slouch. This guy is going to bring the fight to Shane Burgos, and it's absolutely what he did. I mean, at first round, I was like, "Whew, I don't know if my pick is secure."
I mean,
but,
it was a fight.
Yeah.
And I hate to cut you off like that. I'm sorry. But it was like, this was such a good fight, but it got overshadowed by the previous fight. That was the crazy thing. Because, I mean, Shane was putting them dukes on him. He was not letting them. But Billy was just there. He was just his game. But, yeah.
Yeah, here's you know what I always say? After a big pay-per-view, what do I always say? First thing you do on a Sunday, I say a lot of things, but first thing you do on a Sunday after a pay-per-view is you should go back, watch the post-fight press conference.
Exactly. I didn't see their post-fight press.
And so if you go back and watch the post-fight press conference, Dana White, he's raving about how Justin Gaethje and how Michael Chandler was the fight of the night, how they got $50,000, and they're like, man, I tell you what, if it wasn't for that Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje fight, maybe Shane Burgos or Billy Quarantillo would have been fight of the night. He goes, you know what? I'm gonna do something for them as well. It won't be 50,000, but they'll be happy. So
okay, so hold on before you continue down that route. You know how many 50Ks he threw out, right?
He threw out, I think he said 6 or 7 50,000.
6 of them. And I told you guys that based off of what I saw, because I watched pretty much everything from the early prelims on up. 6 was a fair number because these guys from the early prelims on up, they were throwing them out there. I guarantee, everybody that he named off, he was naming off people from the early prelims that got some money. Ian Gary, John Vellante, and Chris Barnett, guys like those. And like I said, it was no slouch. I digress. It was a good one.
Yeah, I was glad to hear that Dana White gave these guys some money because and it was interesting because as they were asking him about other fights, he was adding to the list. He's like, "Oh, I need to take care of that guy too. I need to add some money to that guy." Because everybody came to fight. It is rare that every fight that you watch is a burner.
Yes.
It's rare.
I mean, seriously, if we had the time, we should. I would say we should have talked about each and every fight because there was no slouch.
There were none. But you sometimes you have a stinker, and you just didn't have a stinker on this card, and that's why I think when the numbers come out, Dana White said that they were setting records with the pay-per-view buys. He said they blew out the projections. I think we're going to find that this is going to be one of those like UFC 100 or UFC 229, something like that. It was a great card. So maybe there was a stinker on the card. Looks like Bruno Souza was a stinker.
Okay, so that's just like saying that if you're sitting there drinking, Johnny Walker Blue, okay, and then you hit it up with some Remy Martin, Louis the 15th, and then you drink down and like, you know what, man, let me go ahead and get some of this, this Cristal that's $100 a glass. Let me go ahead and drink that well liquor. If that's your bar, your bar is still pretty high compared to various other pay-per-views there.
I did not know where you were going there. To be honest, I'm like, what is he talking about?
Johnny Walker Blue is high level liquor. Remy 15 is super high low. That's like almost a $700 a glass, believe it or not. And Cristal is $100 a glass. But I'm just saying.
See, this is how I know that I have not reached John Key's level income, because dude's drinking. He knows how much Remy Martin is. He knows how much. I don't know. Like I look at the bartender sideways when I look at my bill, and I'm getting like Ace Pear cider. Like, what? $5.75 for a glass? Are you crazy?
Hold on. Once upon a time, after my military life, when I was in my college life, I actually learned to become a bartender. So I know these things, and these prices are like 20-year-old prices. The Lord knows what they are now. Okay, so they're a little dated, but they're still up there. So.
All right. So have you ever had Remy Martin?
Yes.
Have you ever had Cristal?
Yes.
See, folks. I have not achieved John Key's levels yet, because I ain't never had none of that. Like, I'm having apple ciders is what I'm having.
I had a Forrest Gump life. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time, smooth, talking real smooth to the right people. And they're like, right. Hey, why don't you have a drink with me? Yes, sir, I will. I surely will.
I'll tell you who's going to need a drink. Frankie Edgar. He's going to need a drink, because he's not going to be chewing too much after this fight. Everything's going to have to be liquefied for Frankie Edgar. So yes, that's where we are right now. We're segueing into the.
We saw the meme. Okay, God.
So let's see here. Let's go back and look at and see who's your pick for the Frankie.
I chose Frankie.
You chose Frankie Edgar.
Yes, I did.
It looks like he did not win.
He was winning until he lost.
He was winning until he lost. But you know what that means, right?
Yeah, I know.
It means that we're going to have a second helping of this crow. That's right. But you know who picked Marlon Vera?
Who picked Marlon Vera, Ryan?
Me, and that's because I was perfect in my picks. Let's go back a little bit, though. There's MMA Superfan. I'm gonna do this for you. What is Michael Chandler's future in the UFC? Michael Chandler's future in the UFC is still bright. Like, yeah, he's lost. He lost to Charles Oliveira. He lost to Justin Gaethje. The dude is an electric fighter. He's gonna find a place to. He's gonna find someone else to fight. He's gonna climb his way back up. He'll be back in it. It's just one of those things where it's not gonna be an easy road. Like. I believe that perhaps he thought, because he's coming with all these accolades in Bellator, and then he puts out Dan Hooker, that he was just gonna be that guy. Now he's not. He may have to face off against Islam Makhachev. I'd love to see that.
Everybody loves to see that. Okay, so I don't see. Look, okay, it's not like Michael Chandler is losing to some low level or tomato can. He's not losing it. He lost against the very best and a champion. So I mean, he's gonna be okay. All right, he's gonna be all right. He's not going anywhere. They may take him back a step or two and say, hey, fight this guy for now, and then we'll get you right back on track. Michael Chandler has earned my respect. Okay, if Michael Chandler hasn't earned your respect after last night's fight, saying that I'm coming to bring it, I am not backing down from anybody, anything. If he hasn't earned your respect by now, I don't know what else this man can do except punch a meteorite, maybe.
Yeah, and you've got other fighters that he hasn't faced off. I mean, Dustin Poirier's fighting for the title, so he's out. But you got Beneil Dariush at number 3. Islam Makhachev at number 4. You got Rafael dos Anjos at number 6. So there's a lot of options for Michael Chandler there. I think any one of those would be a great fight while we wait for Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira to resolve. So I think that those are the places where I would think. As we go back to the Frankie Edgar fight, this one, Frankie Edgar was doing great. Like I thought he looked great. And then all of a sudden he got Anderson Silva snap kick to the teeth
Man,
and went down.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, if you saw his face, his face literally said it all when that foot matched the face. It was just like, oh wow, okay. I guess two masses cannot occupy the same two masses cannot occupy the same space at all. Okay, because it was bad, man. I was like, man, I felt bad. I'm a Frank. You know, Frankie Edgar was one of those fighters that I watched because I was a BJ Penn fan,
Yeah.
and I still am. And I watched Frankie Edgar beat the brakes off of BJ Penn. I was mad at Frankie for a while, but Frankie started, he started earning my respect after that. So, for his speed and his tenacity and his never say die. So I'm on the Frankie Edgar Express, and now I see Cheeto come in there and literally put his foot in his mouth, and it was just like, oh, Cheeto, why? Okay, why did you do that? So, I see Cheeto going after this. He's number 13, so he's gonna be fighting the top 10. Okay, at this point, he's got another top 10 to fight, and then after that, it's on to the top 5. He beats the top 5. He's got to talk. We got to have a talk about that championship.
Yeah, I could see Marlon Vera popping up somewhere 10 or 11. You got Dominic Cruz hanging out at 11 right now at bantamweight.
And I don't think Dominic wants that. I don't think he wants that.
Well,
I
see,
don't think
but
he
that's
wants
the
that
fight that
smoke.
Marlon Vera wants. If you go back to when, let me see, when Marlon Vera fought, give me just 1 second. Marlon Vera fought, I think, Grant. I believe that was the fight. Marlon Vera won the fight, and then went to the back, and we covered this. Marlon Vera
Yeah.
was in the back talking to Dominic Cruz, trying to get that fight. Dominic Cruz is actually changing clothes out of his suit, and Marlon Vera's in the back going, "Yeah, how about that fight?" So I think that if to answer Lepidolite's question about where does Marlon Vera go after this, I think you're going to have Marlon Vera. Everybody's going to move up because Frankie was ranked number 8. He's going to fall out of the top 10, I believe, with this loss. So I think that what you're going to have is Marlon Vera and Dominic Cruz right next to each other, or real close. You got Rafael Asunciao right between them. But I think you might see him push again for the Dominic Cruz fight. I like Marlon Mahace, the magician, who will move up to like number 9, something like that.
That would be a nice one too.
And
That's a lot of speed there. That's a lot
yeah.
of speed though.
And then there's a few others. I don't think you give him a Cody Garbrandt. I don't think you give him he's already fought Jose Aldo, and then you start getting Rob Font, Cody Sanhagen, T.J. Dillashaw, Peter Yan, and then Aljamain Sterling's up there at the top. I don't think you get any of those guys, but I could see a Dominic Cruz, maybe a Rafael Asunciao, or Pedro Munoz as your bottom, your 6 to 10.
Yeah, they might give him. Let's see. If he beat Frankie,
Yeah,
they'll either give him Dominic Cruz, or they may actually go crazy and give him Jose Aldo.
he's already fought Jose Aldo.
He already fought.
Yeah, and he lost to Jose Aldo December 19, 2020, so about a year ago. So
and that's a part 2. That's a part 2 then.
maybe. I don't know. I like the Dominic Cruz fight personally. I think that's the fight that I would like to see.
I do too.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on. Next fight of the night was the co-main event of the evening. Thug Rose No Hair Namajunas versus Zhang Weili. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I honestly had Zhang Weili winning this fight 3-2.
Exactly. I think a lot of people did, and ladies and gentlemen, there's a secret to know where something didn't go right, and it's with Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan always asks a series of questions when he doesn't believe that the right fighter won, and he always asks, how do you feel about the judge's decision? Or he always asks about the judge's decision, did you think you did enough to win that fight? If he starts asking questions like those, that means something went wrong. Okay, I do believe that Zhang Weili won that fight. I, in my heart of hearts, without looking at the stats or anything like that, Zhang Weili won that fight,
Yeah,
and we faced a robbery
yeah,
in New York.
I thought that Zhang Weili won the fight. Definitely Rose came on strong in fourth and fifth round. Third round was kind of close, but I still gave it to Zhang.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I
It
I
could have
just
been.
yeah, I just hate the fact that Rose has the knockout on her, and now she's got the decision on her. So when they asked Dana White in the post fight press conference of what was going to be next for Zhang, he was like, well, she got a long way to go to get back to the title. You know,
Exactly. I wasn't happy with that. I was
Lapidolite
not
said he
happy
had
with that.
Whaley winning two. He had 1, 2, or 3. I same.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
I had
agree.
1, 2, and 3 for
And
Zhang
she
as
took
well.
and she took a break during four. I mean, I understood that Zhang took a break during four, but five being on the ground, having that much time, with Rose on top, just basically just cruising through. I think that may have been what's the word, optics
Yeah,
of her looking
but
like
this
she was
isn't this
dominant,
isn't
but
pride. This isn't pride scoring. So the
right.
judges had to give Rose Namajunas round number 3. Clearly, she did not have 1. Clearly, she did not have 2. So they had to
She
give her
didn't have
round number
three.
3.
She
I,
didn't have
the
three.
judges had to give her 3. I didn't give
Yeah.
her 3, but the judges had to give her 3. And at that point, it's like, what else does Zhang Weili have to do? Because I felt like she did enough to win that fight. Now,
Yes.
because we do have a protocol on the
Mm-hmm.
show.
Mm-hmm.
You picked Zhang Weili to win this fight.
Oh wow,
I
you're really
picked
doing that.
Thug Rose No Hair Namajunas to win this fight. So
But
this
hold on,
is
ladies and gentlemen.
dessert.
Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. You did just hear Ryan Smith sit there and say that Zhang Wei Li did win this match. Okay, just FYI.
Hey,
So
listen.
I'm eating this. I'm eating this crow sandwich. It's more like a half a sandwich. Okay, it is not a full sandwich. It's half a sandwich. Okay.
How Zhang could have avoided this whole thing
What?
by not leaving it in the hands of the judges.
Oh, of course. That's my rule.
Well,
Never leave it in the hands of the judges. You
you
know.
know, I don't know what's up with Bruce today, but Bruce woke up
And
and
we're,
chose violence today. Like,
I know,
you
man.
know,
Come on, man.
I don't know what happened, Bruce. I don't know what happened, but you just so salty today. Whaley didn't do enough. Cry me a river. People don't care much about her either. Therefore, she won't get another title fight. She won't get another title shot soon because she's fought 2 times in a row for a title. She
So,
lost
so
both
this is
times.
what's
She's not going to
so
get another
yeah.
title shot.
So what we're gonna see now, we're gonna see Raging Demon Whaley Zhang. We're gonna see Magnum now.
We're going to
Okay,
see, yeah, we're
because
going to see
we're not
Super
gonna see
Saiyan. I know
Whaley.
she's Chinese, but still.
Yeah, we're gonna see Magnum. Whaley is gone now. We're gonna see nothing but Magnum. She's going to go in there and she is going to do what we know she's going. She's going to beat people up until it is no denying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
There's no denying it.
eh, Rose Namajunas and Zhang Weili are this close. Like they are right here. So
Mhm.
there is no one else at 115 that's gonna be able to stand with Zhang. So she will be back. Rose Namajunas said as much in the post-fight press conference. She says, "You know what? She's really good. I suspect that I will see her again. I think she will.
Mhm. Oh yeah, and much sooner than what we think.
And don't let
Okay.
Rose lose. If Rose
Yeah.
Namajunas loses the fight and loses the belt again, oh Zhang's gonna is more than likely gonna swoop in and get that title shot.
Exactly. And
So
let it be said, this is the John Jones DC in the women's MMA. Okay. Right now Rose is John Jones. Okay. But Zhang is DC, meaning that there's just everybody else. I don't foresee anybody else stopping number two to get to number one. She might be number three now. She might be number three, number
I
four.
don't see how they could
Because
drop her at number. Yeah,
they may drop her to number four.
I
Because
don't see that.
But that's because they people are talking Carlos Esparza now. Okay, it's
Yeah,
not
but
Canelo.
Carlos Esparza, let Carlos Esparza fight Zhang Wei Li. Go ahead, do it. Because Dana
No,
White
no,
was
no,
saying
no.
Dana White was saying you do not. Of course, Mr. Consistency Dana White says you do not wait for a title shot.
So what's his plan? Okay, because when he says
He
that,
doesn't have a
that means
plan.
he's. Trust me. If he says that, that means there's somebody else. And
Well,
looking
yeah,
at the short list, Mariana Rodriguez,
could be,
you know,
could be,
that could be it. That could be who he's gaming for.
but
Because
yeah.
Yan Jianan, I haven't seen her fight recently.
So Yang
So,
Jianan lost her fight recently. She lost her last
mhm.
fight. Um,
So
let's see, who did she
Mackenzie
lose
Dern,
to? She lost
you
to
know,
Carla Esparza. Carla Esparza
yeah.
beat her.
So there you go.
Um,
So Mackenzie Dern is rounding out number 5.
so
So
yeah,
I don't
I don't.
see her.
I think Zhang Wei Li is going to have. I think Carla Esparza. I would rather see Zhang Wei Li versus Carla Esparza, but you're probably not going to get that fight. So maybe Zhang Wei Li versus Mackenzie Dern or Marina
I
Rodriguez.
Okay, I see it now. I see it now. It's Mariana Rodriguez. Because guess who? Guess who just lost? Mariana Rodriguez beat Mackenzie Dern just last month, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
uh, yeah, last month. So yeah, it's going to be Mariana Rodriguez. That's who he's going to face.
versus Rose Namajunas.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
heard
think
it
she.
here first, people. You heard it here.
I think Mariana Rodriguez was the alternate for this fight anyway.
hmm So if you're an
So
alternate, that means you're next in line.
typically, typically,
Typically,
typically, why do we say typically? Oh well,
because
that's because
Dana's not consistent.
well, one, Dana is not consistent, and two, when we go to the main event of the evening, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman versus Colby Covington. Kamaru Usman won this fight via unanimous decision, fairly dominant fashion. I know that there were some people who were shocked at the 4-1. I know George was scoring at 4-1. I had it pretty close to 4-1. But
I had it 3-2. I had it 3-2.
3-2. I think 3-2 is
Yeah,
fair. 3-2 is very fair.
but yeah,
Um,
but there was
but
no way that Kamaru was losing that fight.
but yeah, I don't think that there was anybody who really could be honest with themselves and believe that Colby Covington had done enough to win that fight. I just don't think that anyone, especially after getting dropped twice in the second round, I don't think that Colby Covington had done enough. So, no one's taking
So
anything away from Colby's his talent, his grit,
no,
his ability to stay in
absolutely
there,
not.
the danger level that he presents to any fighter that's in the ring. Like everyone's going to say, and for rightly so, should say that Colby Covington is a phenomenal athlete and a great fighter.
He is. He is. Let me be the first person to say it. When it comes to Kobe Covington's abilities, he is bar none. There is nobody that has a better gas tank than Kobe Covington, except for the champion. Okay, but when we say once again, we're at that point where there's number one, number two, and then everybody else. But everybody else is not. It's a little bit different in the welterweight division because there's a lot of killers sitting right there. But when it comes to a gas tank, Kobe Covington he's got the physical gifts. His gimmick though is atrocious. That
Yeah,
is what's going to make him forgettable. Is that not only forgettable, but when he loses, it's going to make it taste that much more sweet. And I don't like tasting a sweet defeat against an athletic competitor. Okay, but he's the one that gets it. He's the one that earns it. Okay, So I mean, Kobe, stop it, stop it. Do what everybody around you says that he's actually really a nice dude. Okay, so the gig is up. Let it go. Be the guy that sits there and says, you know what, it was just a gimmick. I was just trying to make sure I kept my job. Come on back, man. Because we see you're a phenomenal athlete. You proved your point. You're a killer. You're a killer.
so I think that's a pretty impassioned speech, but unfortunately, Colby Covington, right in the
Pathetic.
post fight press conference, was like, I can't respect that guy. Kamaru Usman is a cheater and a coward.
Well, like I said, there's not much more we can do about that. Like I said, he's still holding on to the gimmick, and it's it's a shame that is it the gimmick talking or is it him talking? That's the question.
Yeah,
I like to say that's the gimmick talking.
I can't separate the gimmick from him anymore. And the fact is that when I listened to Colby Covington in a post fight press conference, it would have been great to see him be it would have been great to see him be a little bit more humble, but you know what we always say, you can never go full
Tropic Thunder. Okay.
Can't go full, yeah.
Full Tropic Thunder. All right. When you go full Tropic Thunder, you can only go half Tropic Thunder. That's when you get the awards and everything like that. Go full Tropic Thunder, you just get laughed.
You can't go full Tropic Thunder, and I feel like Colby has gone full Tropic Thunder. Lepidolite says that Colby didn't look sharp enough. I think that's fair. Kid LaHaye says he agrees. Colby is stuck on the act. I think I really do feel like it is. Like at this point, Colby doesn't. You don't have one of the great fights of the night and then go right back to the act. I think that what it is now is Colby doesn't feel comfortable in being himself because he's had success being the character.
That's a shame. That is a real shame. Because he could literally, I mean, like I said, everybody sees it as a joke. So just drop the joke and be like, all right, man, I'm done. This is really me. I'm me. I mean, he'll go down, just like, Kid LaHaye said, he lost himself in the act like Connor. There's a lot of pro wrestlers that do it too. Randy Macho Man Savage was one of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he met the man once in Kentucky because him and his brother. You remember the Genius from WWE?
Yes. Yeah, Lenny Poffo.
Yeah, Lenny Poffo. Yes. So met them once, and yeah, he didn't turn it off. Lenny was cool. Okay, but Randy, not so much. Oh yeah, brother. Oh dang, dog, my bad. Okay, yeah. Come get this, this Johnny Walker Blue right quick. Come on, get that drink, man.
Yeah. See, John Keys be drinking the Johnny Walker Blue. Me, I can barely get the just regular Johnny Walker. He's in the granddaddy of them all, the Johnny Walker Blue.
Like I said, I've lived a very Forrest Gump life, where you just show up at the right place at the right time doing the craziest thing. Okay, so, but I'm just going back to saying, and it's a thing. I always thought it was a joke, but it's really a legitimate thing that once you're in character for so long, you don't turn it off. And it's kind of scary,
Yeah, it just makes me sad because at this point there was an opportunity, and we don't know what they said in the middle of the ring because it looked like they shared a moment after the fight where Colby Covington said he wasn't going to shake Kamaru Usman's hand, and then after the fight he did shake Kamaru Usman's hand. They spoke. There was some laughing, and then Dan Miragliotta split them up. Was like, "Come on, that's enough," and then split them up. So, I do think that there is something to be said about the character that we see from Colby Covington. It's just one of those things where it's like, Kamaru Usman, even after he said, all the great things about Colby Covington's performance, he said, but his character is rotten.
Yeah. And that's the accurate assessment.
So I really don't know what's going on with Colby Covington. Like, I want to like him because I really like talented fighters, but at the end of the day, I can't get past the shtick. And if it's real, if it's not, it's just not my jam. And so I can't support Colby Covington. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if he was to ever leave this promotion and go elsewhere, he would be the most dominant welterweight champion in said promotion. in my opinion.
Well, Colby
That's
Covington did say that he was thinking about possibly going to WWE. He said that he could see himself
okay.
after his MMA career to be in the WWE. With his connections of people like Kurt Angle, it's possible.
He does have a wrestling pedigree. You know, okay, sure. Take him to WWE. He'll be a
Well,
good
he
wrestler.
walks out to Kurt Angle's music and everything like that. I think that that'd be a good place for him. He can clearly spin up a crowd. He's average on the mic. I think that he would be able to handle out any of the promo talk in the ring and stuff like that. I think he'd be
I mean,
fine. He's just
he's average
small.
on the line. Yeah, he is small, but he'll be a lightweight. He'll be a cruiserweight. And everybody knows now. Now they know that if you really want to see the action, you go watch the cruiserweights. The cruiserweights are all over the place. So who's next for Kamaru? There was a guy that called them out last time I checked. That said, I want you. I want to eat your breakfast and put my finger in your pudding and say, do you want your cornbread? I
What do you,
didn't
what do
see
you,
that.
what do you, what do you,
Huh? What? What?
what are you talking about?
What? What?
I don't
I'm
have
talking
no
about
idea what you're talking.
Comes
Kamzat Chimaev. So
Yeah, he
so
called him
Dana
out.
White's already ruled that out. He's like Kamzat Chimaev is not ready for Kamaru Usman. He's like,
Oh
yeah, he's
yeah. Then
exciting.
I
He's like,
but no.
yeah, Kamzat is exciting and everybody loves him. He's a killer. He's like, but there is levels to this.
Yeah,
There's
there's
levels to
fights.
this. You only got 4 fights, bruh.
You only got 4 fights. They're not top five.
So
But
so
no, all kidding aside, I'm sorry. I'm cutting you out. I'm sorry, Ryan. But all kidding aside, it's Leon Edwards. All roads lead to Leon Edwards next.
it's
Okay,
not
It-
it's not Leon Edwards.
who's it
I don't
gonna
know.
be?
So we were just talking about how Marina Rodriguez was the alternate for the fight, and that usually marks that person as the next person in line. Well, the alternate for the Kamaru Usman Colby Covington fight was Vicente Luque. So Leon Edwards has a fight scheduled with Jorge Masvidal. Has a fight scheduled.
Yeah.
So I just don't know what's going to happen from a timing perspective if Kamaru is going to sit and wait for that fight to resolve, people to recover, things like that. Of course, Kamaru said that I think he's fought 3 times this year, so he wants to be on vacation anyway. So the timing may work out for Leon Edwards. I think that it's of the fighters that are available. I think that it's makes sense that Leon Edwards should have the next title shot because he's got a longer winning streak and he's ranked higher than Vicente Luque. But Vicente Luque is currently sitting on the bench, and he was the alternate for the fight. Now, the reason why it's complicated is because Vicente Luque did not make weight. So if something had befallen Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington, and they needed the alternate, Vicente Luque did not make weight, and so the fight would not have been for a title.
Well, I thought that we had a problem with that. They did that before with it was Davison Figueiredo and who else was it Eddie Alvarez? No, Joseph Benavidez. Where it was his fight to win. It was his fight to win because Davison didn't make weight and he still got blasted. So
Yeah.
it would have been the same situation.
But at the end of the day, you got to make weight. You don't even he didn't even have to train. He didn't even have to win. Like when we have 3 rules for a fighter, fighter has to do 3 things: train, make weight, win. He didn't have to train. He didn't have to win. All he had to do was make weight, and he couldn't do it. So, do you trust Vicente Luque to headline a title shot against Kamaru Usman when a dude could not make weight when he didn't even have to fight?
No, absolutely not. Which is why
It should be Leon Edwards.
It needs to be Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're seeing the second biggest travesty. What was the win streak that Kamaru had before they gave him his title shot?
Oh, it had to be something like 10, something like that.
It was
10 or 11.
And what's Leon's current win streak is like 19 or something like that.
Leon Edwards' win streak is something like 14. Vicente Luque is like 7. And so it's like you have to give Leon Edwards the opportunity, but he's tied up right now. So it really comes down to, when does Kamaru want to fight again? If he wants to fight soon, the logical choice is Vicente Luque. If he wants to fight later, maybe mid-year 2022, then I think the logical fight is Leon Edwards. So, I think that's what you have for Kamaru. When you look at Colby Covington, I think that Colby Covington could fight Gilbert Burns. Colby Covington is asking for the Jorge Masvidal fight. That's what he asked for in the post-fight press conference. Is I want my former roommate, which I don't think that he's going to get that fight. One, because you got the Leon Edwards fight, but two, it doesn't make sense anymore. Colby Covington is ranked number 1 in the welterweight division. Why are you going to fight a number 7 guy coming off of 2 losses?
Because he's trying to make himself relevant. Okay, in his insecurities, he's trying to make himself relevant. And
make yourself relevant against Gilbert Burns. Make yourself relevant against Vicente Luque. Make yourself relevant against Wonderboy Thompson. I'd love to see that. Wonderboy Thompson versus Colby Covington. Let's see that.
Ooh, that'd be a gas tank versus accurate sniping. I mean, it doesn't get much beautiful than that. But he wants what he considers an easy fight, which would be Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, not only is it an easy fight, but it's got the great storyline. Let's not even lie about it. It's got a great storyline. They're former roommates. They don't like each other. It's a money fight. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So that's what it is. Now, let's go ahead and close the book on this one. Let's put this on the shelf. I want to talk about the unsung hero in all of this.
The water boy, the guy that brings the water to the ring.
Yes, Trevor Whitman.
I didn't say it, Trevor. Okay, I didn't say that, man.
What, you don't think Trevor Whitman has water? You don't think Trevor Whitman's bringing water to the ring?
I think he's bringing his tactical knowledge to the ring, man. He's got somebody else to bring the water.
He's bringing tactical knowledge and water. That's what he's bringing. Trevor Whitman.
I'm not co-signing to this.
Here. Okay, look. I'm gonna do it for you.
What you just heard is solely the opinion of the speaker and does not reflect the opinions of anyone else on the Combat Sports Talk podcast or anyone affiliated with this program.
Yes, Trevor Whitman is the coach. Trevor Whitman had 3 fighters on the card.
Yes, he did.
They all won their fights. 2 of them were championship fights. The other one was a championship eliminator fight. You got to think that Trevor Whitman has the inside track to Coach of the Year.
Oh yes, absolutely. He is doing what Greg Jackson did back in the day, which is when you saw him coming out with his fighter, you automatically knew that it was stacked, that the fight was stacked in Whitman's favor. Okay, so I'm proud of him. If he doesn't get Coach of the Year, this other coach better be teaching his students how to do the dim mock.
I don't know how you can have someone like Kamaru Usman fight 3 times in a year and be undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
You can have 3 fighters on a card, they all win. This dude is putting in next level of results here, and I think Trevor Whitman he absolutely should be Coach of the Year. They should start a some type of he needs to write a book or something, like this is how you coach people. Like, start doing seminars or something, because we need more people like Trevor Whitman coaching. Like that is unbelievable that he was able to accomplish what he did. All the fighters felt like they had his attention. All the fighters were confident going into the ring. He did something that I don't know that any other coach, maybe you guys in the audience can tell me of another coach who had 3 fighters on one card and went undefeated.
Yeah.
And all of them
fighters
on the main card.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all on the main card. 3 fighters, high profile fights, All of them won. All of them under Trevor Whitman. That is unbelievable. And so I tip my hat to you, sir, if I was wearing a hat. So that's what I wanted to go on. You know, there was actually another fight.
Was there?
There was another fight that night.
What fight was that?
Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. Let's get into it. This is Finding the Angles. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, all right. This is Finding the Angles. This is where we talk about the fights, the headlines that are making waves in the in the combat sports world. Our headliner tonight is the Canelo fight. So it was really interesting because Canelo Alvarez fought Caleb Plant, closely contested fight up till the end, and so Caleb Plant got knocked out, I think, in the 11th round by Canelo Alvarez. And so where we were broadcasting, we had the UFC on in the front, and then over on the side, we had the Canelo fight. So it was hard to see the Canelo fight because you had these two fights going on at the same time, but you could hear the swell of the crowd. You could see that Canelo was looking like the more dominant fighter. So I don't really know. I've read some reports that say that Caleb Plant looked really good at the beginning. It was very competitive, but he faded near the end, and that's where Canelo really got in and did the damage. And so now Canelo is the WBA super middleweight, WBC, WBO, IBF, and the Ring super middleweight title. So I just think that I just, you know, who's gonna fight Canelo now? Like I don't know that there's anybody who's gonna really challenge him.
Bears, like literal bears out in the forest. Okay, yeah, I don't know. He's like they said at the end of the bout, King Canelo has arrived, and I really don't. I have no idea who can take him on. I really don't.
I don't either. But yeah. I will say this. Kamaru Usman said he wants to fight Canelo, and Dana White's like,
no,
bruh. You don't want Canelo. You don't want that.
Me and Dana agree. He don't want that. Okay, he don't want to do that.
Here's the funny story about the Canelo fight. Dana White bet $100,000 that Canelo would win by knockout, which he did. But here's the thing: it was talking in the post-fight press conference, and Dana White was like, "Yeah, so I was watching the Canelo fight at ringside," and they were like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, you know, it was probably a bad idea for them to, you know, co-program the Canelo fight against our UFC pay-per-view because it was such a huge night." But he says, I was watching it at ringside because I had a bet on Canelo. And so they asked him, it's like, well, how big was your bet? And he goes, I had $100,000 bet that Canelo would win by knockout. And everybody's like, wow. And then someone asked, he goes, wait, you paid for the Canelo fight? And Dana White doesn't say anything. And then he gets this smile on his face and he goes, yeah.
But see, here's the crazy. There's pictures of him sitting there watching the Canelo fight. Okay, there was pictures already out there. So yeah, Dana, good job on doing it the clean way.
Yeah, that's right. Way to set an example for us fans here. About paying for fights.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. I love our job. I love our hobby. I really do, man. I really do.
And I was talking to Kelechi about it, and Kelechi was like, Kelechi is, very much one of those guys that really wants to just call out any, hypocriticism, being hypocritical and anything like that.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, but you got to understand, there's competition between Dana White and these promoters that are promoting these boxing fights. So I can definitely understand why Dana White would not want to give them a single red cent of his money. And so Kelechi was like, wait, so you're saying that pirating is is right whenever you don't like the guy. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that I understand why Dana White would be like, yeah, I paid for it.
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge,
Wink,
nudge.
wink.
You know, it's just like when you're ordering at Popeyes and you see somebody come in and they got Chick-fil-A. I mean, it's just that thing, you know.
Yeah, you know what? I get very uncomfortable whenever I'm like, I've got a McDonald's bag or a Chick-fil-A bag and I walk into another restaurant. I get super uncomfortable. I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to have this food in here.
Yeah, but it's happening. You know?
Yeah, but it happens. It happens.
Yeah,
it bees that way sometime.
Exactly. Give me my chicken sandwich. Okay.
So, great job for Canelo. I don't know who he's going to fight next, but it gives me a reason to want to be interested in his career. I got really excited about the heavyweights now that the heavyweight title is heavyweight title picture is so jacked up now. Who knows what's going to happen? Canelo is one of those guys that we can actually look at and say, okay, well, everything seems smooth here. We can actually kind of follow and see who the next guy is, since Floyd's gone and I'm not watching Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Who cares? Canelo, I think, is a good guy to fight. You got Gervonta Davis and those guys that we could follow them as well. So there's some boxing fights that can be interesting. So keep your eye on that space. But shout out to Canelo Alvarez for I think unifying the super middleweight titles now, and it's always great when you have a undisputed world champion in a weight class.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of undisputed world champions, one of them that was former undisputed world champion was John Bones Jones. And so we know that he's going through all kinds of legal problems right now due to his incident in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he was arrested for damaging a car, among other things.
Right.
Other things being the alleged abuse of his fiance. Alleged.
Okay.
And so as a result, after all these years of John Jones, acting out and doing the wrong thing, Jackson Winklejohn said that he was, temporarily suspended from coming to to the gym. And so John Jones has stated that he definitely won't be going back, but will continue to root for all the fighters that are training at Jackson Winklejohn. Because I do believe my training methods and sessions have improved significantly since changing environments. Grateful for all the time I got to spend there. Everything has its time. So it looks like John is finally leaving Jackson Winklejohn. He's separating himself from them. I don't know where he's going to go because, while everyone wants a high-profile fighter like John Jones, I just don't think that anyone wants the headache that goes along with it.
Wait a minute. Who is Diego Sanchez's Josh Fabia?
You think that would be crazy if John Jones ends up with Josh Fabia.
That would be crazy. Now, all kidding aside,
you deserve it.
Oh
he kind of deserves Josh Fabia.
I mean, okay, so let's be serious for a few minutes. This says a lot. Okay, this is that's him telling us that he does not believe that he was really in the wrong, and that he feels like it's everybody against him now, and him and his girlfriend or fiance. So what he's also telling us is that he's not going to slow down anytime. He thinks that his behavior is his business, and we're just going to see more of it. Now, I mean, whoever picks this guy up, maybe they'll change his mind. Maybe they'll change his, give him a different outlook on life. Good luck, whoever does that.
I'd like to think that John Jones is a lot like Mike Tyson. And Greg Jackson is the customato for John Jones. And now that Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn are leaving his life, I think that it creates a void that can be filled. We're making the joke Josh Fabia, but some type of a Don King, Josh Fabia type of person that that really dials up the worst of John Jones and makes money off of John Jones, but doesn't actually help John find that straight and narrow. That feeds into that narcissism that we see from him, that hubris that we see from John Jones. And as a result, I think that what was going to happen is we're going to see John Jones self-destruct at some point if he finds the wrong gym, if he finds the wrong manager, if he finds the wrong people. And I think that Jackson Winklejohn is actually doing him a disservice by publicly stating that they are separating and severing ties from him and not bringing him into the fold. And the UFC not bringing him into the fold. This is a person that's going to need a different level of oversight and protection and care. And while, yes, and I know people are going to be like, John Jones is an adult and he should be able to take care of himself. He clearly has a problem, y'all.
Okay, so let's talk about that. A couple of things. First of all, the difference between, Jackson Winklejohn and Gus D'Amato was that Mike Tyson realized how much of an influence that Gus D'Amato was. He was like a father to him. John Jones does not see Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn as a father figure. All right, that's the first one. Secondly, how bad was it that out of all the things that they've always kept under wraps when it came to John Jones, that they publicly came out and said, you know what, we've had enough. That has to say a lot there because they've been quiet all this time. They were quiet about the whole John Jones hiding under the ring when the USADA came around type incident. All right. So if you're willing to keep quiet like this, but this be the part that they say, you know what, we can't handle him anymore. That says a lot. I think that there was a lot more there that we're just receiving the tame version of how all that went down.
Well, I think Chael Sonnen said it best when he said that, while the level of prestige of a gym has a lot to do with the championship fighters who train there, that the money in a gym is made by the people who go there, the normal people like me and you who go there and train. And so the kids who go and train, the kids classes and all that kind of stuff. And so if you have a fighter who is, facing charges of domestic violence and domestic abuse, alleged, it really hurts, the business side of the gym where you're catering to women, you're catering to children, and John Jones just doesn't represent the brand that you're trying to present in the community. At the same time, though, I think that, Mike Winklejohn says that, John Jones was like a little brother to him. So maybe not a father figure, but definitely, someone who he felt responsible for taking care of. And so to sever those ties, especially given the business implications of having a John Jones training at that facility, I think really shows the hand of those guys. And I'm still saying is that if John Jones means something to you, if you really want to help that dude, you have to actually help that dude. And so maybe that's an intervention. Maybe that's coming in there and really forcing his hand to go and get long-term psychological care and counseling. Like, the dude needs it or he's going to self-destruct. And we're going to watch it, and it's going to be interesting because we're a podcast and we talk about things like this. But at the end of the day, we see self-destructive behavior happening over and over and over again. And even though John Jones says that he's going to stop, we have seen enough times to know now that he doesn't have the self-control to prevent himself from making the bad decision. So
what makes you think he hasn't had that intervention and he sat there and said, you know what, I'm gonna do better, guys, I'm gonna do better, and then he does this? That's what I'm saying. I think that intervention has happened and they said, you know what, we gotta follow through.
I question I question whether the intervention in something like this is separating yourself from the person who was falling. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I've been a part of a stage intervention before, and I've heard it. That if you got to make a choice of either, getting the help or parting ways from this. At the time it was a family, and you know, whether we agree with it or not, if he's your little brother, you do everything you can to help them. But at the same time, if they're not willing to be helped, then they got to be on their own.
Well, we're going to see how that works out.
Yeah.
We're going to see how that works out. And maybe when that is happening to an individual, who doesn't have a high profile, career, it's effective. But John Jones has, lots of money. He's got a lot of stardom, a lot of fans that what you may be doing is leaving him out to the wolves. And what I hope is that we don't have to see in 10 years from now a 30 for 30 that ends with John Jones being incarcerated for the rest of his life or dead or something like that, because the people that were closest to him abandoned him because they were trying to go through with whatever threat they made to him in an intervention.
Well, now, see, that's the thing, though. It's never a threat. Okay, threats are what children make when they don't get their way. Okay, this is a statement. All right, either you help us help you, or you make the choice to walk away from us. All right, he made the choice to walk away, and maybe Jackson Winklejohn is saving face or whatever, but I don't think if you really think that he's your brother, okay, that you think of him as a little brother, that you're just not going to just up and just tell him to kick rocks. No, you're going to help him until you realize that you can no longer help him. Or the worst scenario is that he doesn't think he needs help and that he doesn't need you in his life telling him that he needs help.
That may be the case. That there may be nothing else that Jackson Winklejohn can do for John Jones. And I'm willing to accept that. I'm just saying I hope that as a result of that we don't see, John Jones self-destruct.
Right.
Another fighter who is on the path of self-destruction is a fighter by the name of Dylan Dennis.
He's a fighter. He's not a fighter.
He is technically a fighter signed to Bellator. He's fought 2-3 fights under Bellator. He's a jiu-jitsu coach for the your favorite fighter Conor McGregor.
Of course.
And
he's not my favorite, but anyway.
I know I was trying to sleep that in there. So we saw Dylan Dennis. But we saw Dylan Dennis, who had a beef with Jake Paul. We saw him get choked out in New Jersey by a nightclub bouncer. And now at UFC 268, we are getting reports that Ali Abdelaziz slapped Dylan Dennis backstage at UFC 268. And Dylan Dennis got thrown out of MSG.
So, wow. So that he's 0 for 4 then, isn't he? I mean, he's 0 for 4 and not even touched the ring. Okay.
What? I just got to be like, what do you have to do to get slapped by somebody's manager?
Not much, because Ali is about that life. Okay, he is literally about that life. See, don't let the suit fool you or anything like that. He is that dude. He trains. He's that manager that trains with his fighters. So he's still on that. But the bigger question is, who do we hate more? Do we hate Dylan Dennis more or Colby Covington? Okay,
Colby Covington, hands down.
I don't know, man, because this isn't the first time Dylan has gotten slapped by a fighter, okay, by a former fighter. Well, no, she was still a fighter, but, Ali is a former fighter. But, yeah, he's getting slapped around, choked out, thrown out. What else has happened to this man?
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Dylan Dennis, but he needs to get his life together. Dude,
Yeah.
you can't just sit on Twitter and talk smack and then fight tomato cans at Bellator and feel like you're a fighter. At the end of the day, you need to actually do something. Like the nobody respects Dylan Dennis. Zero.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Who do we hate? We respect Colby Covington. Okay?
I respect Colby Covington
his
in the
abilities.
yes,
Okay, we respect
his talent. I don't respect him as as a persona, and I'm going to say it as a persona because I don't know if that is him as a person or if that's him as a character. So whatever I see in public is what I'm judging him by, and if that's a persona, then you know what, I don't respect it.
Okay, well, think about it this way. Dylan Dennis has been Dylan Dennis, and there is nothing we like.
I think he's real. I think that he's real.
He's a keyboard warrior, and as a wise friend of mine once said, "Be careful what you say and how you say it, because one day you're going to have to back it up." And when it comes to Ali's people, you really need to be quiet, okay? Because you're lucky you just got slapped, because you could get caught out in the parking lot real bad, and bad things happen in the parking lot when it's just one of you and five of them. All right?
Bad things, man. Bad things.
Black Air Force energy detect. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so let's keep our eye on Dylan Dennis. Maybe this dude will finally get his just desserts, but hopefully he'll be able to turn it around and actually do something with the gifts that he has.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, last segment on the show is Fight Card. All right, this is the Fight Card. This is what we look at the fights coming up on Saturday night. UFC Vegas 42, Holloway versus Rodriguez, Saturday, November 13th, 2021 at the Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. The bad part about this Vegas 42 card is the fact that it's coming after 2 consecutive pay-per-views.
It's like, well, no, I thought the one before this was a non-pay-per-view.
No, the one before this was the pay-per-view that was in Abu Dhabi. So it was Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, I thought, why was I thinking that it was a non-pay-per-view?
Because it came on in the afternoon.
ESPN. It was on ESPN. But regardless, okay, this is what happens when your 2 older brothers went and worked out somebody, and now you got to fight that person. This is UFC Vegas 42. So. They got a non-pay-per-view by Lapedia Light. He said that. I know what I'm talking about. So,
all right. Anyway,
UFC Vegas 42. This is show B. Okay, the B show. I hate to say it like that because I see a potential here. I see a potential for fight of the year down there. And that's
okay. So let's go through it. First fight of the night, we've got Song Yadong versus Julio Arce.
RK, I think it's RK.
Is it RK?
No, it's Arce. It's Arce.
I would say it's Arce because it doesn't have any accents on it. We finally get the fight back that we've been waiting to see: Kevin Holland versus Kyle Dawkis.
Finally.
Remember this one had the illegal strike, and then Kyle Dawkis finished Kevin Holland by submission. Then they ruled it a no contest, so this is it coming back. Arce. Oh, okay. Arce. Julio Arce. There you go. Yeah. Kevin Holland versus Kyle Dawkis. Kevin Holland, of course, is a hometown hero of ours. He trains here in the DFW area. It may have gotten canceled because I think Kevin Holland may have hurt his hand, but it's still on the UFC site, so that's why I'm still going through it. We got I don't know what happened there. Maybe this one got canceled as well. Felicia Spencer versus Leah Letson.
All right.
Man, I don't know what's up with UFC's website because I clicked the Ben Rothwell link and I get just sent back to this one. Let's see here.
I think
maybe that one got canceled as well. Man, this is a janky card here. In the main event of the evening, Max Bless Holloway versus El Pantera Yair Rodriguez.
This is a potential fight, dude. This is another potential fight where it can, either depending on who shows up, we may have ourselves a fight and a half on our hands.
All right. So who you got, Holloway or Yair Rodriguez?
Man, both of them have impressed me so much, but Holloway, I will always pick Holloway. Win, lose, draw.
You know what? I think that we talked a lot about on this episode, that there's a natural one and a natural number two, and then everybody else. I think that in the featherweight division, we have another natural number one and a natural number two. I think Alexander Volkanovski is a natural number one. I think the natural number two is Max Holloway, and then there's everybody else.
Right.
So, we haven't seen Yair Rodriguez in a while. This is what Lipidolite is saying. And it's true. We haven't seen him fight in a while, so we don't know where he is. I mean, a lot of people are 50-50 on whether or not ring rust exists. I think it can. So Yair Rodriguez, not having fought in a long time, I think that it's probably one of those things where he may take a moment to get back in. His last fight was in 2019, October 18, 2019. So it's been 2 years since he's fought.
Right. And that's a heck of a, break. But, we depending on the fighter, it exists, it doesn't exist. I don't think, I've seen enough fights to say that ring rust may not exist in reality. I think it's just, people, it's just a mindset. I think they may trick themselves out before they walk into that ring.
Right. So I'm also going with Max Holloway, which you should feel good.
Why is that, Ryan? Why is that?
Because, given my my recent performances picking fights and my last night where I was, you should feel confident that, in picking this fight, I might be perfect again.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Go to sleep tonight, resting easy, knowing that Ryan has picked Max vs. Holloway.
All right, follow us on social media on Instagram. I'm at Combat Sports Talk,
and I'm at Keys to Victory. That's Keys with an ES.
All right, you can follow George Stallworth at Darkside_Muay Thai_. And you can find us on our website at www.combatsportstalk.com. Hey, so combatsportstalk.com was down for over a week. And so last night I built Combat Sports Talk back from scratch.
Oh my.
I had to rebuild the databases. I had to rebuild everything. So I'm still working on it, but I'll put the show from last night if you want to see George's and my live broadcast of UFC 268. Of course, we'll put this show on there as well. But we want to send a shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow, the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group, where a lot of these sites we get our content for the show. For those of you who are joining us online, I want to send a shout out to you. Thank you so much for your contributions on the show. We really appreciate y'all showing up every night. Thank you so much for that. On behalf of John Keys, my name is Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.